I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate. We are all about bridging the gap between gamers
and non-gamers.
And so what we do is try to find the games that work best for both those parties. Today, we have 3 new games on the table from Amuza Games. These are all going to be hitting Kickstarter in the very near future. We'll put the link to the Kickstarter in the description of the video. First up, we have Bugz. Bugz is a game for 2 to 5 players, ages 8 and up, 15 minutes. It's a simple little card game in which you are trying to get all the bugs. Let's see the rules on it. Hey there, I have Bugz on the table from Amuza Games. This is a game coming to Kickstarter in the near future. We will put the link to the Kickstarter campaign in the description of the video, so please check that out after you watch this video. With that being said, everything that you see here, the components, artwork, and rules are prototype, and so after the Kickstarter campaign finishes and the final product is released, things may change. So be aware of that. Let me go over a brief overview of Bugz and how a round works. In this game, you will have a deck of bug cards that you will be flipping out that show you the type and number of bugs that you will be competing for that particular round. Players will have the same exact identical lure cards to try and lure those bugs to their side of the board, as well as the same exact deck of 10 action cards that they can use to alter what happens that round. How this works, like I said, you flip out a card and the numbers on the card are how many bug tokens you will put next to that card. So for instance, this particular card says we are going to have 4 cockroaches, and these are generic tokens that just represent bugs in general. And so we'll put 4 up here on this side. And on this end of the card, I know it's upside down, but you guys, this is 2 maggots. So you do have to keep in mind that there are cockroaches, maggots, and fleas in this game. So it's a little bit of a gross kind of theme here, but it's a fun game. So you play these cards, like I've mentioned. These are lure cards. And what you do is you secretly decide which type of bug you are trying to lure. Now, each type of bug has their own specific lure that they're enticed by. So cockroaches, for instance, they really enjoy moldy bread. And maggots really enjoy rotten meat. Let me see here if I can't find a flea. Here we go. Here's a flea. Fleas really enjoy cats. And while we're on that real quick, you do flip over the next card on top of this deck, just so everybody knows what's coming next for the next round. So again, everybody secretly places one of their lure cards in front of them. Now lures, you have the 3 different types. You have the cats, you have the rotten meat, and the moldy bread. But the lures, you also get one of each kind that comes with 2 lures on that card. And how that would work is after everybody has played their lures and shown them, if you had a double one, you are going to get a double portion of the bugs for the ones that you are trying to claim. So for instance, let's say I play, because there's a lot of moldy bread, there's 4 of them out there, I might play a single moldy bread, and I would put that face down. Everybody else would put out a lure, and they would all place face down, and on a count of 3, you would all reveal your lures. Now, obviously, no one would play double kitten on a card that didn't have kittens, and if they did, they would not get any bugs. That would be dumb to do that. But in our instance, me and this player over here, we both played the same type of lure. So we are competing for this pile of bugs here, and currently no one's competing for this pile of bugs. Then, once everybody has played their lure and you reveal, you choose which action card you are going to use. You have 10 here, 1 through 9, and you get 2 number 4s here. So let me see if I can show them to you. So you got 2 number 4s. Let me go over what these cards do real quick. Number 1 card cancels out another player's card. So you would take your number 1 and you would essentially just put it on top of the other player's action card, and you're canceling their action card out. A number 2 card adds 3 more bugs to the pile of bugs that you played your lure on. So for instance, I'm Moldy Bread. If I played this card, I would add 3 more to this pile right here. A number 3 card would take 2 bugs away from the side of the card that I'm not competing for. So Moldy Bread, the side I'm not competing for are maggots, so we would take 2 away from this pile. A number 4 card rotates the bug card 180 degrees. So if I played that card, I would flip it, and now my Moldy Bread is only competing for 2, so I probably wouldn't play that card in this instance, but if I had been playing Rotten Meat, let's say, I might play that and rotate the card 180 degrees. Now again, you have 2 of those, so keep that in mind. A number 5 card allows you to change the type of lure to match the opposite side of the card. So again, if I had Rotten Meat, let's say, I could play this card to change it into Moldy Bread. A number 6 card allows you to take back your lure into your hand, and then all the bugs that were on that side of the card that your lure matched are now frozen, and they cannot be won by anyone this round. A number 7 card allows you to take the bugs that are left over on the side of the card that you were competing for. We'll come back to this card here in just a second. I'll set it over here to remind myself. A number 8 card allows you to keep your lure out for 1 more turn. Normally at the end of a round, you discard all the cards that have been played. You discard the bug card and any lures and action cards. However, if you played this card, your lure would get to stay out for an extra round, and in that round you would have 2 lures out there helping you to get bugs for that round. And a number 9 card allows you to keep your lure face down next round. So in the next round, I discard that lure, and when the next card would come out, I would play face down again, and once everybody else revealed, I would keep my lure face down until we start showing our action cards. So that's how the action cards work. Now, the way the divvying up of bugs work, so let me bring back out my Moldy Bread here. Nobody played any, let's turn this card back the other way. Nobody played any maggots, so these 2 maggots would stay here and remain for when the next card comes out. However, we both played on the cockroach side here, and so we would each get 1 bug for our 1 Moldy Bread. Now we have bugs left over, and if we have enough in this pile to pay everybody who played Moldy Bread, then we would do that. And so we would end up with 2 each. Now let's say that this pile had an odd number. Let's say that it had 5, for instance. Well, we would pay out, we would go 1, 2, and we would pay out again because we have at least 2. And 1, 2. Now there's 1 left over, and since we both can't get it, then that 1 will stay there. Unless I had played number 7. If I played number 7 card here, then I would get that leftover 1, and that would be how that works. Take your bugs back, discard all your cards, and then the next bug card would come out, and you would add the bugs again to any bugs that were left over from the previous round. So I would have 2 here, I would add 5 more, so I would have 7 cockroaches on this side of the board and 4 fleas on that side. There are 9 bug cards in the game, so there are 9 rounds. You'll never be sure which bug is coming out, except that you do flip over the next card. So you have 1 round's advance notice. At the end of 9 rounds, you count up who has the most bugs, and whoever has the most is the winner. And that's how you play Bugz. Now let's go back up top to talk about our thoughts on it. All right, so there you go. That was an overview of Bugz and how it works. We'll share our thoughts a little bit on it real quick. Bugz is short and sweet. It goes really fast. It's kind of one of those card games in which you play cards and things happen, and they can turn on a dime. Sam, what were your thoughts on Bugz?
I liked it. I mean, it's definitely a unique theme. You don't see a whole lot of themes with maggots and
cockroaches.
So I definitely think it has the appeal of little boys.
Sure, yeah.
Like our kids. But yeah, so it was fun. It was pretty easy to understand too, which I always appreciate.
Yeah, it's a small deck of cards at that. You have the 10 action cards and the 9 lures, and everybody has the same kinds of cards, so it's not a big learning curve there at all. It takes maybe 3 or 4 minutes to learn and 15 minutes to play, so it's real quick and fast.
There also is some strategy to it that I was not good at, but Lance was. But I think the more you play, you can kind of figure out exactly what you need to do to win.
The timing and trying to anticipate what your opponents are going to be playing based off the lure cards that they have out there.
It's not as simple as it looks.
No, yeah, there is some depth to it for sure. It's a lot of fun, packed into a small box with not many components, and it doesn't take up a whole lot of table space. So that's a pretty good get right there for me, because it's kind of hard to find a lot of fun in such a small little package. So that's Bugz from Amuza Games. Next up, we have Circus. Sam, why don't you talk to us about Circus?
Circus is for 2 to 4 players, 8 years and older, and about 20 minutes. I think we found it to be slightly longer than that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not one that's going to last all night.
No. Let's take a look at the rules overview of Circus real quick. Okay, I have Circus on the table here from Amuza Games. This is a game in which you are going to be playing performers to your caravan and arena, trying to upgrade them as best as possible to win the most applause and victory points to have the greatest show on earth. Let me show you how this game works real quick. As part of setup, you will have these differing specialty poster cards. For a basic game, you're going to take these 4 plus these 2 that make a total of 6, shuffle them together, remove 2 at random, and put out the other 4 right here in between these 2 blank ones and the grand finale. The way a round works is the first thing you do is you look at the round of specialty card for the round that you're playing in. The first 2 rounds have no specialty in them, so you sort of skip that for the first 2 rounds. But then starting in round 3, you will have a specialty, and so in this case, it's clowns. And we'll come back to what happens whenever you have a specialty card, poster card up there with something on it. Essentially, it gives you victory points. But the next phase of the game is that you are going to play upgrade cards to try and upgrade your performers. Now let me talk about the differing performers real quick. You have performers that come in male and female variety of differing specialty types. For instance, you have jugglers, magicians, mimes, there's another juggler, strongmen, clowns, and acrobats. Now, when it comes to gender, strongmen are always males and acrobats are always females. Your clowns, jugglers, and magicians can come in male or female variety. And your mimes are both male and female. They can count as either male or female for your upgrade cards. So let me go over the upgrade cards real quick. There are only so many cards in the game, and most of them come in male or female variety. For instance, this card right here is going to allow you to add a red upgrade cube to one of your performer cards if you pay the cost right here. So the cost is always in the bottom right, and the cost is cards. So for instance, I have to discard a card to be able to play this one. And what it's saying is that you look at the card furthest right in the arena here. And so the furthest right is this male strongman. And for instance, this card, it would have to be a female to be able to play it. So we would look at this card right here that says male, the male balloon here. And since it is a male, I could play this card and add 1 red cube to any one of my performers in my caravan. That's the one for female. Those 2 cards are essentially the same. And then you have these cards right here, again coming in male and female variety, costs 2 cards to play this. And what it allows you to do is add green cubes to any performers in your caravan that are of that gender, female or male. Now again, in the instance of the mime, mimes can be male or female, and you can interchange that in the middle of a round. So for instance, I could play this card right here and add a red cube to a mime saying that they're female, but then turn right around and play this card next, adding a green cube to the mime saying that it is male at that point. You also have these cards right here that allow you to add purple cubes to your cards. This top one here tells you can add a purple cube to cards in your caravan that are of the same type of specialty. So you announce the type of specialty when you play this, and I could say jugglers. And if I happen to have more than 1 juggler in my caravan, and it wouldn't matter about gender, I would get to add green cubes to both of them. The other kind of purple cube card is one that has the symbol for not the same. And so I have to pay 3 cards for this one, but I would get to add purple cubes to all differing types of specialties in my caravan. The yellow cube is kind of the most rare cube to be able to obtain in the game, and it costs the most to play, most of the time anyway. The cost to play it is 4 minus X, where X equals the number of cubes on the card most right in the arena. So again, in this case, the strongman right here. At the beginning of the game, there aren't going to be any cubes on this card, and so the cost would be 4 minus 0, so 4. And I would pay 4 cards to be able to add 1 yellow cube to one of my performers. We'll talk about how cubes get on this card later on. The last kind of upgrade card that I can play is a little bit different from all the others, and if you'll look closely, you'll see an hourglass icon in the background, and that is because when you play one of these cards, it stays in front of you for the remainder of the game. It's free to do, as you can see, 0 card cost, and when you play it, essentially what it does is anytime you add a performer of that gender to your caravan, you get to add one of these turquoise cubes to your card. So those are how the upgrade cards work. After you have played as many upgrade cards as you want, then you have to add a performer from your caravan to the arena, adding them to the end of the right of the line. And so for purposes of helping you guys understand the game, let's just say that I had 3 upgrade cubes on my female juggler here. And one other thing on these cubes, you can't have more than 1 of each color on the card. So let's say I enter this juggler into the arena, adding it to the end of the line here. And then I'm going to compare cubes on this card to any cubes that are on the card in front of it. In this case, there are none. And so any cubes that I have on this card that aren't on this card, I'm going to receive 2 victory points per cube. So I would get 6 points in this case. But let's say that the strongman here did have a red cube on them. Any cubes that are matching, I'm only going to receive 1 victory point. So in this case, I would get 1 for red and 2 for purple and turquoise for a total of 5. Then I would take any cubes off of this strongman card and put them back in the supply, and then I would go down the line looking at specialties. If there are any cards that matches the specialty of the card that was just played, so for instance, this male juggler right here, I would take that card out and any cards to the left and discard them. And the reason that that is important is because however many performers are left in this line is the number of upgrade cards I get to draw to help me for the next round. So in this case, 2. I would only get 2 cards. So it's to my benefit to try and play differing specialties. I don't want to keep matching the specialties that have just been played. And thematically, what you're doing there is you're trying to provide variety to the crowd of differing types of performers who have differing unique abilities that are different from the ones that were just in the arena. You get points in that round, in that phase of the game. You also redraw back up to however many people you can have in your caravan. And then you go to the next player. They go through all the 3 phases again, and you would flip over the poster for that round after everybody has gone. Now back to these posters real quick. As I mentioned, when you get to a poster that has a differing specialty type on it, you're going to receive extra points if you have that person in your caravan and if you have any upgrade cubes on them. So for instance, the poster said clown. This person here has a clown, and let's say that they have 2 cubes on the clown. You would get 1 point for each cube on the clown. So that's how that works. Again, a basic game is 7 rounds. At the end of the 7th round, you go into the grand finale, which is essentially the same. The only difference is that at the end, you are going to compare the people in your caravan of the differing specialty types, and whoever has the most upgrade cubes on one of the specialties is going to receive 3 victory points. So whoever has the magician with the most upgrade cubes is going to receive 3 points. Whoever has the acrobat with the most upgrade cubes is going to receive 3 points. You go through all the differing specialty types, awarding 3 points for each one. Now there's one other thing. In the rehearsal phase, instead of playing these cards, you could discard 2 of them to be able to upgrade on one of these tracks here. This first track allows you to have additional performers in your caravan. You start the game at 2, but you can upgrade up to 3 and then again up to 4. This track right here provides you bonus points at the end of the game. You start the game receiving 1 bonus point for every 3 upgrade cubes you have left over on your performers in your caravan, but you could upgrade up to 1 point for every 2, and then again 1 point for every 1. This track right here allows you to draw additional upgrade cards at the end of your turn. So I mentioned you get upgrade cards for however many performers are left in the arena. You add 1 to that number at the beginning, but you could upgrade to add 2 or again 3, and that is the number of upgrade cards you would draw. Now this is the basic game. There is an advanced side of the board here, which I'll show you real quick. And it's essentially the same game. The only differences are that you play with all the specialty cards for a 9-round game instead of 7 rounds. And then you have 2 extra actions that you could take once per game. And you indicate it by putting one of your player discs on top of it to say, I've used that and I can't do it again. The first one that you could do is discard 1 upgrade card to exchange one of your performers and any upgrade cubes on it for a performer in the arena or a performer in an opponent's caravan. Now the catch is that you cannot exchange a performer that you have that has fewer upgrade cubes than someone else's performer. You have to have equal to or more than the performer that you're taking from. The other action that you could do is you could discard 1 card to remove up to 2 upgrade cubes on the performer in the arena furthest to the right. And the reason you would do that is because it could give you more victory points if you're playing a person that has those same type of cubes on them. That's essentially the game in a nutshell. Whoever has the most points at the end of the game is the winner, and they have the best circus. Let's go back up top to share our thoughts on the game. All right, so we're back, and we're going to share our thoughts on Circus real quick. Circus, to me, was a game that was surprisingly not deep and super thinky, but it's one that on the surface you kind of look at and you're like, huh, how does this work? And it takes a little bit of getting into it before you completely understand it.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the box and it's small, just like Bugz. And the game board is not big, the components aren't massive, doesn't take up a whole lot of table space, so you think this is going to be one of those easy, simple games that I'm going to completely understand in a matter of 5 minutes. And it's not. There's a lot more to it, a lot that you have to think about going into it. Sam, what were your thoughts on Circus?
Yeah, there definitely was a lot more into it than, or a lot more to it than I originally had thought when we first started playing. There is some strategy involved, and the theme is unique too. The circus, the goal is to get the bigger and better show, to play the right performers and acts, to get the most points. But then there's the aspect of getting the cubes and the colors, and there's really a lot to it.
Yeah. It's not as easy as it might look on the surface.
No, I did not find it super easy.
Now, that being said, I wouldn't say that it's a game that's overly complicated or too fiddly.
No.
And I don't know that it's one that would be too much for a non-gamer to understand.
No, I got it near the end for sure. And I think if we played it again, I would definitely get it.
Yeah. It's one that I think Sam mentioned a little bit at the beginning. It is a little longer, and sometimes you're looking for a longer game. Sometimes you're looking for one that can kind of fill up the night. And not that it overstays its welcome by any means, but it's definitely one that you're going to put on the table, and you're going to sit there and you're going to think about your movements. You're going to think about what you want to do, the cards you want to keep, the cards you want to play, and whether it's better to put that performer, that mime out there, and get all the points for the cubes that are on it, or keep it in your caravan because you know that the mime is coming up on the poster, and that's going to get you points too if you'll just hold on to it for a little bit longer. So there's a lot of choices when it comes to Circus, and sometimes they're a little excruciating. Do I do this now or do I hold on to it?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's where I usually have the issues with that forethought. Yeah.
Thinking forward and trying to figure out, what the best move is for you now, 3 turns ahead.
Yeah.
So that is Circus. Last up is Pizza. And Pizza is a game for 2 to 4 players, ages 8 and up. Takes about 30 minutes. However, we found that it was much quicker than that. Mm-hmm. We played a game in about 18 minutes, I think. And let's take a look at Pizza on the table and how that game works. Hey there, I have Pizza on the table from Amuza Games. This is a game coming to Kickstarter very soon, so we will put the Kickstarter link in the description of the video, so please check that out after you're done watching this video. That being said, everything you see here on the table is prototype. The artwork, components, and final rules may be different after the Kickstarter is finished and the final product is released, so just keep that in mind. Let me go over a brief overview of Pizza, the game, and how a turn might work. Pizza is a game in which you are going to be trying to put ingredients on slices of your pizza pie here, trying to satisfy different customers who have requirements for the type of pizza that they are wanting to eat. In order to do that, the first player in the game will roll these 4 dice and arrange them from lowest to highest, putting the highest on this end, the lowest on that end, and so on and so forth. After you've done that, everyone will take their ingredient card deck, which corresponds with the 6 different ingredients that are in the game, and shuffle those cards up, draw the top 3 off the deck. And everyone will do this simultaneously. They will play one of their 3 cards in hand on one of the 4 slots on their player board that corresponds with the 4 dice on the main board. So for instance, I may play this pepper card right here on my orange slice, doing so just like that. And I would use the die on top of the orange circle, which is a 1 in this case. Now, my player piece starts right here on this slice of my pizza, and I would move 1 space clockwise, staying in the outer ring. And that is because I played on orange, and the orange spot has a 1. Now, the card that I played was pepper, and so I can take the pepper ingredient that I have right here, which I would want to do, and place it where my player piece is on my pizza. So just like that. If I didn't have a pepper right here, I could take one from the general supply. Once I have played a card on this particular spot, I cannot play a card on this spot for the rest of that turn, and therefore not be able to use this die again for the rest of the turn. I would have to choose from one of the 3 remaining slots. Once I've played a card, I then draw back up to 3 off the top of my draw deck and repeat the process. You do this 3 times in a single cooking phase. So for instance, I may go there this turn using the purple or pink die, excuse me, and move 3. So we'll do that real quick. 1, 2, 3. And I played mushroom, so I have to put a mushroom piece out, and it goes where my player piece is again. Draw a new card, add it to my hand, and go again for the 3rd time. So this time I might put that there and go 5 this time. Now, once I've come full circle and I get to this spot, I follow the arrows. So once I have made a full trek on the outer ring, I go to the middle ring. And once I've made a full trek on the middle ring, I would go to the center ring. And once I complete a full trek on the center ring, I would go back to the outer ring again and repeat the process. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I would end right there and use my little anchovy here and place it in the middle ring this time. Now, once everybody has played 3 cards, you will go into a cooking phase, serving phase. And in serving phase, you are trying to serve one of the guests at the main table here. So how that works is each guest has requirements for the type of pizza that they are wanting to be served. For instance, this particular fellow here wants a slice of pizza that has all 5 of these ingredients. It has to be exactly these 5 ingredients. No less, no extra, and you can't mix and match. Has to be these 5. So if I had a slice of pizza that had these 5 ingredients, I could serve him in this particular round. And I would announce to everyone at the table, I am serving this guy right here. I would slide him away from the table to say that. And then I would show which slice of my pizza has all those ingredients on it. And let's just pretend that it's this slice right here. And I would immediately earn 15 points. Now, if I had any ingredients in this outer ring, I would earn a bonus 2 points. And if I had any ingredients in this center ring here, or middle ring, excuse me, I would earn 1 bonus point. You get no bonus points for any that are on the center ring. I would clear that pizza slice of all the ingredients on it, and I would flip that pizza slice over to show that it has been eaten. And then everybody else playing in the game, all the other opponents, could serve this customer if they had a slice that met the requirements and earn the full 15 points. But if they didn't, then this guy would flip over, and now he is only worth 10 points. So you can still serve him, but he's only worth 10 points, and you slide him back at the table just like so. After everybody has completed serving their guests, passing, if they're unable to serve anyone, or after you serve someone, you have the option to serve another customer. Once you can't serve anyone else, then you pass, and after everybody has passed, then you will move to the next round. And the way you transition to the next round, you take the 1 card remaining in your draw deck at the end of the cooking phase, and that goes into your hand, and you shuffle the 5 other cards back together to form the new deck, drawing 2 off the top. And that gives you 3 cards to start the next cooking phase with. The game goes for 6 rounds. At the end of 6 rounds, you will get in-game points for any ingredients left on your pizza pie, giving you 2 per ingredient in the outer ring and 1 per ingredient in the middle ring. You will also get bonus points if you have cleared off these spaces on your player board. If you were able to remove all from 1 spot on your board, you will get 1 point. You'll get 3 points if you cleared off 2 whole spots, and 6 for 3 whole spots, or 10 if you cleared off all the ingredients from your player board. Add up all those points, and whoever has the most points is the winner, and that's how you play pizza. Now, real quick, let's go over these empty pizza slices. because when you're moving around your pizza pie, you do still count the space for the empty slices in your movement. So if I had a 3, let's say, I would still count it going 1, 2, 3. Now, if I ever ended my movement on an empty slice, I have a choice to make. I could choose to do nothing and not play any ingredient that particular card that I just played. Or I can spend 6 victory points, going back 6 spaces on this victory track here, and flip this slice of pizza back over. And now I can start making pizza on that spot again. So that's the choice that I have to make. In the game, you will find that there are 15 customers. So you have 7 that you put at the table and 8 that you put back in the box. And so there's lots of variety and setup here. There's also an advanced version of this game. Let me show that to you guys real quick. Every player board can be flipped over to the B side as well as the main board here. Let me do that real quick. And essentially what the difference is you have slots here for bonus tiles. And what these bonus tiles do are give you additional benefits for when you have cleared off one of these spots. Not only do you get in-game points now, but you have the option to pick from the bonus tiles that you put out here for setup. And these bonus tiles give you a one-time use benefit. So for instance, if I had this bonus tile, I could spend it to alter the number on a die plus or minus 2. And again, it's a one-time use sort of thing. There's all sorts of different tiles that come in the game. I'll leave you guys to explore that in the Kickstarter campaign page. But essentially that is pizza. And now we'll go back up top to talk about our thoughts on it. All right, so pizza for me, Sam, was an awesome game. For me, it was the one that I looked at and just first impression was, whoa, I think this is going to be a hit. Just the mechanics of moving that marker around the pizza slices and going further and further into the middle, but wanting to time it just right using the dice and putting the ingredients out, trying to match up with the right customer. It was a pretty unique experience. What did you think?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. This is the one that we actually ended up playing twice because I can't remember, something happened and we ended up having to play it again for some reason. And the second time you really understood your strategy and you understood what you needed to do. And there's kind of some math involved, figuring out which ingredient you're going to use, how many times around that's going to put you, how many points that's going to get you. So you kind of feel like you're doing all this math in your head trying to figure out what you're going to do.
Each turn is a little bit like a puzzle, using the dice, the numbers on the dice to figure out, okay, if I use the blue die now, I'll move 6 spaces. And then if I use the green die, then I'll move 2. And
there is a lot of forethought. But for some, I just found this one easier. I think it's more... There's not as many steps as in some of the other games. It's very much you do this, you get these points.
Right, yeah.
Or you get these ingredients. But I don't know, something about it made it a little bit more simpler, even though it probably sounds a little bit more complicated.
I think there was a reward factor with pizza, because you do this puzzle and you see it come into shape, and then there's the reward of serving the customer, getting all the points and making it work out.
Not just a reward of points at the end.
Right, yeah. And so pizza for me was kind of the experience that took the night away, if you will, because just the unique mechanics and putting them all together, plus the theme for me. I really like food themes. I don't know what it is about that. But pizza, it looked cool on the table. It has that wow factor. Just really cool overall experience with pizza. It's definitely one that, though it is shorter, I think you would play it multiple times. Yeah, that's the other thing too. It is short, and you'll play it and you'll think, okay, that was cool. I want to do this again. Yeah. And then when you play it again, you're like, okay, I'm getting this. I want to play it again. Yeah. And I want to play it again. It's just really cool. Plus it comes with all the different customers in the game. And so you can change it up, shake it up. Plus it has... both Circus and Pizza both have the advanced versions of the game to, once you've understood it and feel like you can take on another challenge, you can flip the board over and there's extra components and it makes it a little bit more complicated, but not overly complicated. And in some ways it actually helps you to get more points. And so there is more of a reward factor there for playing the more complicated version of the game, if you will. And so I highly recommend these games out there for you guys. They're packed with fun, and I think they work pretty well with non-gamers, wouldn't you say, Sam?
Yeah, I do agree with that a lot.
So we've got Bugz, Circus, and Pizza from Amuza Games. As I mentioned, these are hitting Kickstarter in the very near future. We will include the link to the Kickstarter campaign in the description of the video, so please, please, please make sure to click on that link and check out their Kickstarter campaign if you feel like any of these games would be perfect additions to your collection. All right, so I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate. We'll catch you next time.